Mandy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
What got you into music?
Well, I've been singing since I was 4 years old. I'll never forget it. I know children probably, or adults probably don't remember their earliest memories. My earliest memory was 4 years old. I'm in the living room with my mom, and she's folding laundry, and Crystal Gale comes on the television. It was some sort of variety show, and it was a black screen, blue light in the back, and she comes from a black, it's like one of those, you know, glassy top stages, and she's in the back, it's her shadow, and she walks out and she sings "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue." Yes. And she opened her mouth, and I just remember just stopping whatever I was doing, and I just stood there and I just watched. And as soon as she was done, I turned to my mom and I said, I want to do that, because I was just so moved. And I've just been singing ever since. So, I mean, music's just been a part of my life. And it's really funny. I believe that God gives us gifts because nobody in my family is musical. Not one.
No one?
No one. Nobody sings, nobody dances, nothing. Nobody plays an instrument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So it's not like I had this great wealth of, no, I dived right into, just music. I think music is just such a universal language. Right. It just touches people on just such a deeper level than just kind of surface. And so, and then I have memories of, from 7, 8, 9, 10, my mom would put me to bed and I'd have a clock radio. And for hours after bedtime, I would just go through all of the stations and anything that, grabbed me. And it was anything. I would stop and listen and then, go on to the next. And I would do that for hours, before actually going to sleep. So music's just always really just been just a huge part of my life, but only because of my passion for it. Not because anybody was cramming it down my throat or I was surrounded by it. I wasn't. It was just such a passion of mine from a very early age.
So it didn't matter the style of music?
Not at all. And, and that's why I love... all genres of music are so great. Now my family mostly listened to country western music, music. So all of the, anywhere from, the Crystal Gales, Patsy Cline, Kenny Rogers,
this is classic
Ryan
country.
Millsap, all of that. That was really good. I grew up with that, but then I started listening to jazz at like 10 years old, getting into the greats, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, all of that stuff. Al Green. Then my mom was really into Motown, so then I got the Four Tops, Al Green, the Supremes, Diana Ross, just such a plethora of music just grabbed me. I mean, I was never one style or other. It was just always just everything. Anything and everything I could get my hands on.
So you enjoyed singing. Did you get a chance to perform places?
I did, yeah. Like when I was younger, the school saw, I have a very bubbly personality, and so that was very evident at a young age as well. So I think my first, stage performance was kindergarten play. I got to, I was the narrator of the whole show, and that really started the whole, I'm going to be on stage. And then early on, elementary programs, I was always asked to sing specials, and it was very intimidating because I was so young. But I just remember just being on a microphone was just the most comfortable place for me to be. So it was a lot of fun.
You get to tour any interesting places, or
no, just being young, and I'm the oldest of 5 kids, so we didn't get to do much. So school was anytime I was introduced to anything was always through a school event or school avenue.
Were you homeschooled or no?
No. Back in the 80s, I don't think anybody homeschooled. No, not
That's
at
a big
all.
deal now, the homeschool.
It's a huge deal, yeah. I'm a part of a program that deals with primarily homeschooled children. I'm involved in Christian Youth Theatre, and primarily most of those students are homeschool kids. And I think, and what's really great is, I'm from a public school background. My husband is a Christian private school background, and then we also have 5 kids, and, they're not school age yet, but, there's something to be said about, education and what works for your family.
Good.
Yeah.
What was the first show you ever did, say, in theater?
Theater, like as a performer or as a director?
Well, performing, directing, whatever.
Performer, I really started getting involved in musical theater in high school. Okay. So my first, and I never got a main role, never got a lead. I was always in the chorus, which I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think every stage, every stage presents needs a background, needs a backbone. Right. But I think my first show was Annie.
Really?
Yeah, I was several different roles. Not an orphan, but several different roles. And then my next one was Grease, again, just in the background in the chorus. And then I decided to do a one-act play. Well, it wasn't a one-act, but it was just a theater play to Jillian on her 37th birthday. And I did get the understudy for Jillian. Okay. But of course I never got a chance, but it was still a great learning experience, and I love to do that. And but I was more involved in more music than theater, but it still gave me a chance to combine both.
Okay.
So it was a lot of fun.
Are you more the music director for shows?
Yes, that is my primary goal with Crighton Theatre. I've been with them since 2007, and it's been such a great experience. I started off, or I still am, as a voice teacher. I'm a vocal coach, and back in 2007, the economy was really, really slow, and of course, voice lessons is it's a luxury item. Students, you don't need to have voice lessons to survive your daily life. So it got really, really slow. And so I started looking around to the different theater companies to see if they needed any help, or maybe I could, here's my card, if you need students, whatever. And that's when I found Crighton Theatre, and they were looking for teachers for their fall and spring sessions, and I was able to, submit an application. They accepted. I taught a voice class, and then from there they asked, have you ever thought about, do you have a musical theater background? Have you ever thought of directing, helping, whatever? And I was like, no, I've never been in the driver's seat. I've always been a performer. I was like, but I'd love to learn. And so they took me under their wing, and I interned for their first show. The first show I was involved in 2007 was Susical, and I just kind of watched and listened and just drank everything in. And they said if I did a good job, that they would give me my first show as music director, which was Beauty and the Beast, and that was fantastic. It was such a great experience. A big production. We had the cast was 106 kids.
Oh my goodness!
It was fantastic. It was really great. It was a really great experience, and I've been doing it ever since.
What do you find that the kids need most when you teach them or help them to nurture their talent?
Stephen, you know what I love being a teacher the most is that to be able to bring something out in a child, and be able to explain it to them where it's relevant and they understand it.
Right.
That to me is the greatest high. I think that's what propels teachers, because it's not about the paycheck.
No.
It's not about the recognition you get because you don't. This is just your hours are not 8 to 5. No, they're not. You know what I mean? You get up, you're doing lesson plans, your curriculum, you're working during the summer to get everything ready, you're preparing your room, things like that. Teaching is a lifestyle. It is not your job. Right. So, but I think that the major high of a teacher is because they reach a student that kind of, I'm getting through, or they're getting it, and it's because I'm being able to communicate to them in this way where they can then succeed. Right. That is the greatest accomplishment I think any teacher can say, is when they feel that a student has learned something just because you took the time to teach them. Right. And that is the greatest thing I think teaching has ever given me as a teacher, and that's why I love it so much. So when you work with those huge casts, how do you approach working with those kids? Well, you definitely have to keep in mind the age groups that you're dealing with. And with Crighton Theatre, I'm dealing with kids from 8 to 18. Right. So it's obviously a wide variety. The great thing, though, about Crighton Theatre is that we raise up our leaders from within. Right. So you're constantly, and I think big families like my own, feed off of this as well. The older teach the younger kids. Yes. So you're really making sure that the older kids are being an example, helping corral, helping keep in line. Right. And then as a family unit, we're working together to teach the music, to teach the dance, and to teach the theater behind it. I do think that when you're dealing with kids, that you really just need to get on their level. I think that kids can be easily intimidated by, a strong personality. So I know, especially when I'm talking to a younger kid who's pretty short, I get down on my knees and I want to make sure that they're making eye contact with me, so that they're hearing me instead of me towering over them with a loud, booming voice. I mean, I can't imagine. I don't remember being 4 foot tall, but I can't imagine being 4 foot tall and looking up and seeing all this stuff, Right. So I just want to get on their level and make sure that they understand me. And I'm very, I do, when it comes to work, I have a very strong work ethic, and I keep a very high standard, a bar set very high for my kids. And I only do that because I believe that they will reach that. They will attain it. When you set a challenge before a child, I truly believe that they will attain it if you believe in them and you set them up correctly. Right. So that's, that's dealing with those challenges with a big group like that can be cumbersome, but it is doable. It is doable. So when do you find to see musicals or see shows? I know, it's crazy. I know, I hardly ever. And then I have all these students that are so talented. I've got kids in different theater companies, Theater Under the Stars, HVAC, Crighton Theatre. It's crazy, but I try as much as I can, because I always want to make sure that my students feel supported, not just in the show that we're doing, but outside, these walls. And I do try my time. What's great, though, is that my family, I have a 4-year-old daughter, a 2-year-old son, I have 8-month-old twin boys. I have custody of my 11-year-old niece. They love theater. They've been around it their whole lives. I mean, Naomi was in the womb. My daughter Naomi, my 4-year-old, she was in my belly while I was doing voice lessons. So it's just a part of her daily life. So to go to a show and for her to sit through a 2-hour show, my 2-year-old as well, it's nothing for them because this is what they love.
They're used to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so it helps that I can bring my kids along and be entertained by a show. So that helps a little bit. And my husband, the man of my dreams, I've been married 10 great years. He's very supportive, in what I do and knowing that, the kids can always be with me. He's just really great about, keeping our family unit centered and grounded while I go, do that kind of stuff.
So what was the first show you guys did at the Crighton?
The first show that I was a part of doing at the Crighton was, because Beauty and the Beast was actually done at Conroe High.
Right.
Because of like a scheduling conflict. So the first show that we got to do after that was The Legend of Pocahontas.
Okay, yes.
And that was fun. It was a lot of fun. We double casted it. And so, getting to work with 2 different Pocahontases and 2 different sets of 4 sets of narrators was challenging. But, we felt that those girls deserved a chance to be on stage. And so, and then, like I said, working here was it's just a great experience. The history behind it, just this place, it's magical.
Yes.
It really is. And the kids love it. And when it's, all that magic is, transferred on stage, it's so great to watch and to be a part of it.
Because we've talked about this, there are plenty of theaters that have better facilities, that are nicer, bigger, whatever.
Right.
But none have the ambiance.
None have
the
the ambiance.
A 76-year-old theater, built for vaudeville.
Exactly. No. And people love it. Like even they come here and they're just, they're taken back.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, there are more modern facilities, bigger holding stadiums.
Sure.
But everybody this place is enchanting. And I think that's why they come back. It really is.
What shows would you like to do?
Well, as far as Christian youth theater,
anything,
or
any type of shows.
Well, I'm a huge musical. I love any kind of musical. My coming up in the winter, I'm actually getting to change hats, and I'm going to get to direct a show, which is Schoolhouse Rock Junior, and I'm really excited because it's all music.
Yes.
So I don't feel like I'm going to be directing, but I am. That it will be my major title. But I'm excited to do that, especially working with a younger cast, and that's so exciting because I really want to reach kids at a young age to get them passionate, to like lead them on to their teenage years and all of that. So, but I don't know, just. I love Guys and Dolls. I love Thoroughly Modern Millie. It's one of my favorites. There's just so many to choose from, but the musical genre mostly.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I love to sing and love to see that in students as well.
We just saw Thoroughly Modern Millie done in Stowe, Vermont. And we were curious to see how it is because I saw Thoroughly Modern Millie with Sutton Foster on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of rather high bar to match. And no, they did a wonderful job. They had a small cast though, but as you know, Thoroughly Modern Millie, you need a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, and it's an amazing show.
That's great. Yeah, no, that Forget About the Boy.
Oh
favorite
yes,
song of all time. Love it. It's sassy, it's loud, and that's
right.
me. And so I love it. I'm like, this should be my theme song.
It is,
love it. I love it.
Amazing. You're always busy. It sounds like you ever get to take vacations. What do you guys do on vacation?
So actually, we are getting.
What is a vacation?
I know. 30 minutes without my 5 children at the door. It's hard. I get that question a lot, Stephen. Honestly, because they always see me here with children. Involved in Christian youth theater. They know that I have a full roster of students during the school year, but they also know that I'm a mother of 5 and a wife and all of that. And they're like, maybe how do you do that? And what's really funny is that it's just God's grace. It really is. He's given me the ability to give 100% to my students, but also give 100% to my kids and my family and my husband. And they're very supportive of what I do. My first ministry though is my family and kids, so they will never be without or wanting. I will never forsake my family to do a show or to be with a student. But at the same time, I can't not be involved in a show. Like it's just a part of my makeup, my everyday, my DNA. I love being a part from I'm talking about everything, not just the music, but from the setup to the the set meetings, the lighting cues, you
really enjoy the production part of it, right?
Love production, just because I believe that that's the house that the players get to play in.
Yeah.
And if it's not set up just right, it's like I just finished wrapping 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Yes.
And the director loved having live animals on stage. So we had a goat, and we had a chicken, and we had I'm missing one. It was a goat. A pig. We had a potbelly pig, so we had a goat, a pig, and a chicken in different scenes. And just those kinds of, details, it makes the show. Yeah. It really does. It makes it fun and, more authentic. And I like that. I like being part of something not just kind of, if I'm going to put my name to something, it better be amazing. Because, because my time is so precious, I want it to be awesome or nothing at all. I really am an all or nothing kind of girl. So it's got to be great or I'm not being a part of it. So to be a part of, stages like, productions like that, that makes it all worthwhile. But no, my husband, he's a school administrator. Yes. So, and he works all year long, including the summers. So we do get, I make sure that I do not plan any students for like the last end of July, and like we're gonna take the kids to Branson, Missouri this year, and go up a couple days and
see some more musicals.
Exactly, I know, isn't that crazy? And that was not the intention because that was my husband's idea. He goes, "Let's go to Branson," and I'm like, "The show capital of the world," but we're probably not even gonna see a show. Just my daughters love roller coasters, and we did Disney 2 years ago, and so we just thought this was just Silver Dollar City, and just see more, and I love all that, making, candy from scratch and pottery from scratch and glass blowing and all that. They'd love that.
They have that there, right?
Yeah, so that'll be, we probably won't get any shows in probably at all, but yeah, I know, more musical theater. That is so, I'm going to tell him you said that. That is so funny, because he probably is not putting that together.
No, it's true. When we go on vacation, and we do try to get away, but we do try to see shows from local groups. I'm not just, we see Broadway stuff as well, but we want to see it local. We want to see what they do. Absolutely. We're there to support them. Yeah. We're not there to criticize necessarily. We're just there to see what they do and enjoy. How does that community come together? Because it is very much a community effort.
Absolutely. And I think too, Stephen, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm always a student. I'm constantly learning.
Oh, absolutely.
About stuff and different
there's always something to learn.
Exactly. And to see how other people, what their perceptions are and things like that. I'm constantly trying to better myself and educate myself, and then because as a teacher, that's what you do. Right. You then take your knowledge and you pass it on, and so I love that. I love just being a part of anything creative to see how it works, to see what the the finished product's going to be. Right. But how did they get there? So
well, let's talk about that, because in musical theater, I mean, certainly you've got to work on with what talent they have and technique, musical technique, but very much musicals, and sometimes musicals are dinged for this, is that they're short on characterization. It's not that they have to be. Sometimes that's a shortcut. So tell us, how do you help the students find, I guess, that character behind the music?
It's a great question. Because first you have to, when you're dealing with a student, I don't care how old they are, maybe even adults. I've had a couple adult students in my career. Your first thing is trying to get over their stage fright, like to get themselves out of the way. Right. And Stephen, even though that is my title, I am a vocal coach. I feel more like I'm a motivator. I'm their cheerleader. They need to know that I'm their number one fan, and that even if they mess up, it's okay, because it's safe to mess up with me. Right. It's really trying to just get themselves out of the mentality of, this is me, because if you're playing a silly character, well, you're going to feel embarrassed that you're playing a silly character. You've got to shelf that. Right. You have to get yourself out of that mindset and really try to learn to just put this on and become this character. And really, in my experience, it's just always been motivate, encourage, never really, insult or demean in any way. Now, I do believe in in a strong work ethic. So if you're goofing off, then no. I mean, I have all of my students I call it a healthy fear of me. It's true. It's true. Everyone that I have a reputation of being, I'm like the Jillian Michaels of voice teacher. You hate me when I start, but you love me at the end because you get the results you're looking for. Right. So I'm very strong and strict when it comes to my work ethic, but at the end of the day, I'm for you.
But it's with love. I'm
for you. I'm doing this because I care and I love you. Right. And I don't beat kids into the ground. No. They think I do because of my tone of voice. I don't beat around the bush. I'm very direct. I'm very honest. It's just you know what, Stephen? Kids respond to that. They're tired. I think that kids sometimes get not discouraged, but I think they get tired of us walking around eggshells on them. Because they like to feel like they're adult. My 4-year-old's already going on 30. But I think that students really respond to honesty. Just be honest with me. Don't sugarcoat it. Like, do you ever watch those talent shows like American Idol or?
I try not to.
I'm not an American Idol fan. I haven't watched American Idol. I do watch. I just finished watching The Voice. Yes. And so, but you see those kids. Or like America's Got Talent. That's like our family thing. Our family sits down and watches America's Got Talent. You see these people that come up on stage and they think that they're God's greatest gift, and they can't sing to save their life, or they don't have talent to speak of. And when somebody gives them that feedback or that criticism, they are devastated. Like, it's like, this is the first I've ever heard of that. I think you do a child a disservice to set them up on something that is not true. And so if, and I believe, Stephen, it's just all about finding a kid's strength. Well, what are they good at? You know, are they good at singing? If they're good at singing, well, then hone that. Put them in lessons. Put them in, you know, something that's going to hone that craft.
Right.
But if they can't, and you know that they can, and it's just not working out, find something else. I do believe that kids are talented in something.
Right.
Okay? Find it and then go with it. Don't sit there and feed your child lip service that they're something when they are not. It's just not fair for them. Right. It's just not fair for them. And I think the reason why my students love me as much as they do is because they know that they will get an honest response from me, regardless of what it is. Obviously in love, but I'm not gonna beat around the bush because I want you to be the best you. How can I do that for you? How can I help? And that's and they respond to that. They really do. They appreciate that because their peers are being honest. Right. You know what I mean? Nobody's you know color code sugarcoating anything for them. It's more adults are kind of being. You know, I think we make our kids more sensitive than they really are. They are. I mean, and I have 3 boys. Right. Sensitive. Right. But I think that they deserve a little bit more credit when it comes to being able to handle failure, rejection, if you give them those tools to deal with that. Right. And I truly believe in that. I truly believe in that and doing that for a kid. I think that those are going to be life lessons that they're going to learn in the long run. Not everybody gets a trophy, Stephen.
No,
they need to know that
right.
there's a first place, a second, a third. Kids need to know that, and that's okay. And that's okay. Right. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's okay. But if you give them the tools, I believe that they'd be able to really deal with that better at a younger age, going into adulthood, versus their lives being shattered at 17 years old. They think they're God's greatest gift. They want it, and they're like, no, babe, you're not. You're really not. But that's okay. I think that's okay if it's done nicely, done correctly, done with love, like you said. But I'm a fan of honesty. Right. I'm a fan of honesty.
Well, let's talk about faith, because obviously faith is an important part of your life.
Absolutely.
So many people. How do you make your faith manifest in your work? Or
that's a great question. I believe Jesus is the center of everything in our life. I really do. He's the creator of life. He's the giver of life. And the Bible does say that all good gifts come from our Father. Yes. And I believe that when we have talents, I believe that they are God-given. And so, especially when it comes to when you're trying to attempt something, because Stephen, not everybody can do this. Not everybody's a singer. Not everybody's an actor. Not everybody's a dancer. So you're constantly coming up with challenges. You're constantly facing with rejection or trying out for a part or not getting it or things like that. Jesus is our biggest advocate. He loves us. He loves us with an unconditional love. And I just feel that if we transfer that on to our students, that they feel more secure in it, that they feel that they, even though, CYT is such a great organization too, because we have kids from all denominations, all backgrounds, all different family colors, like single mom, single dad, divorced parents, parents that have been together forever, have 20 kids, I mean, we have it all. Right. But our lives are constantly changing. God is always constant.
And they're not all Christian either.
No, they're not all Christians. We have a Jewish family. Right. But I think, but God, Jesus and his son, God and Jesus, his son, I believe the universal message of that is love. Love and grace and mercy and those, just the fruits of the Spirit, really, Stephen, love, grace, honor, you can't do, it's almost like the golden rule, it's stuff you learned in kindergarten. Right. It's, you can't go wrong with that kind of stuff. And when you are facing things like music and, I'm just not getting it all, Jesus is our biggest encourager. Right. I want to be their biggest encourager, and just, and then the Bible does say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me in Philippians. That is just, and when you give a kid that kind of powerful knowledge, I mean, that's what you're doing. You're empowering a child with your faith. And they feel, I think they're better people for it. I think that they become better professionals as far as acting, singing, whatever. Because regardless of the talent, Stephen, it doesn't matter. It's that they are attempting something and they're doing it and they're doing it well. Yes. And I think that's a really good goal, especially in a society where we make excuses. And
and it's also we excuse everything, right?
We do. We excuse
it's someone
everything.
else's fault.
Yes. No. As long as we give our kids the tools and the abilities, and I use Scripture and I use the Bible and I talk about God's teachings and that empowers a child and it helps them. Yeah. And I think that's okay. That's good. That's good, especially in a society where they spend millions and millions of dollars in advertising to get our kids looking at things they shouldn't be looking at and being involved in things they shouldn't be involved in. They're passionate about their industry because they're making money off of our kids.
Right.
I believe that it's important as a mother, as a parent, as a teacher, to be just as passionate, to be just as, advocate for them in regards to who they are in Christ, what they need to know, the tools to get through this thing we call life.
Yes.
I think that it's fundamental. I think that it's never, like I said, God is never changing. So he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that kind of solidarity in a child is, to hold on to that, it's priceless. It really is. And that's what helps. That's what helps.
So do you think your kids will also get active in theater?
I remember telling my husband when we decided to start a family, I said, I can't hold it against him if none of them are musical. But I said it with my fingers crossed. Because I was like, what am I going to do if my kids aren't? Like, what am I going to learn? What are they going to learn? And what's really great, just because they've been involved in it since birth, they love it. Yes. They love it. My Naomi, she does, she'll be, it's so funny. I'll be in a voice lesson and she likes to sit with me. And I was like, okay, as long as you sit on the floor, you don't interrupt. And let's say that I have a student across from me and they're doing their vocal warm-ups. Sure. Well, if Naomi realizes that they're not doing it right, she'll kind of, no, like this. And she'll do it. And I'm like, yeah, like her. And I've got kids 12, 13 years old. I'm like, do it like the 4-year-old. It's just, and then my son, he just turned to Milo. He's starting to, where he's not singing with the words, but he's humming it. Right. And he's humming it correctly. And I'm like, and I know every parent thinks their kids are great. Right. But I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, are you hearing this? Because my husband, too, he plays guitar. Okay, yes. Great guitar player, songwriter. Right. I'm the singer, and music's always in our house. Right. So they're being raised with it. Right. But I was like, I'm not going to force it down their throats. Right, like, if they want to go play tennis, let's go learn, what rackets are. Right. But so far, it's been great, and they love it, and I'm just so thankful. I'm like, thank God. He knew what I needed. Yeah, he knew what I needed. So I'm thankful for that, because Lord knows, if I didn't get kids that didn't love it, I'm like, I don't know what I would have done. Well, because my knowledge is limited, Stephen. I don't know much, but I know this. So let's hope that they want it. They want to love it too.
Well, hopefully, when they rebel, they won't rebel against the music. Yeah. I mean, there's always that, but
yeah,
absolutely. They'll still love it.
Hopefully, that'll.
They may want to do some strange musicals, but at least they'll still.
I don't care. I can help them as long as I can help them. I don't care.
Is there a show that you won't do?
I'm not big on anything with profanity, any kind of sexual content, those kinds of shows. Right. No, which is unfortunately a lot out there. It is. Now, of course, there's still those great, I call them gray areas. Chicago, that's a great musical.
It is,
the music,
that has to be, I guess, edited, shall we say?
I doubt I'd ever talk. Maybe when my daughter's married, we'll go check in that show. Right. But there's a Chorus Line. Sure. Great musical.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
And then unfortunately too, because of my beliefs, and I know this isn't for everybody, but with my beliefs, there's a lot of homosexual, storylines, sure. Yes, right. Things involved in that. I won't participate. I won't. It's not that I don't love a person who is a homosexual. Right. I do not believe in their lifestyle, and I don't want to condone that. And so, and it's just about characterizing for my kids. Sure. I'm leading an example for them. Right. And so that's so just shows like that, anything like that.
I understand. Absolutely. There's the fine line between loving the person, but loving, the lifestyle.
Exactly.
Separate the two things. And so
it's true.
And it's a difficult lesson to teach.
It is hard because you tell your children to love and accept everyone. Right. Well, how do you teach a child to love and accept somebody who's practicing something that you don't live?
That's right.
Right. But it's just, but again, Stephen, I go back to the Bible. I go back to Jesus. Jesus ate with the sinners. Yes. He talked to the woman at the well who was, because she was from Samaria. You're not supposed to talk to a Samaritan woman. He's sitting there having a conversation with them out in public. Right. What I love about the Lord is that he was controversial. His birth was controversial. Mm-hmm. His lifestyle was controversial. He was a controversial person, but his message was the same: love everyone, love and accept everyone, and but always stay true to yourself, to your moral code, to your moral standard. And that's just what I want to teach my kids. And my students, too. I want to be that light for them. Because how confusing is it to live in a world and a society saturated with sexual immorality, what's now become acceptable wasn't acceptable 20 years ago, how I feel as a nation we are lowering our morality bar, what is acceptable and what's not. Yeah. I feel that regardless of what's happening in the world, that you as a parent, you as somebody that's in charge of your own home gets to say. Yes. And gets to say what you're going to be a part of, what you're not. And you know what? I think that's okay. Because people are so passionate on the other spectrum, well, I'm passionate too. And you're not going to silence me just because you don't agree with me.
Right.
You know, I feel like my rights as a Christian have been taken away slowly but surely, and the rights of other people are not. Yeah. And I don't think that's fair, especially in a nation where we were founded on biblical principles. I don't believe that I don't believe that that's right. But again, with my kids, it's not about excuses.
No.
Not about excuses. You live the life that you want to portray to your kids, and then pray that when they are away from you, that the Bible says, raise up a child in the ways that he should go, and he will not depart from it. Yeah. And I pray that as we teach our kids these lessons, that they won't depart from it when they get older, and mom's not always around. Yeah.
I kind of find that it's unfortunate that over the past, just say, several decades, that we seem to have the two trends. Number one, be more tolerant of many types of behaviors, lifestyles, whatever. But at the same time, we can't seem to talk about it civilly. We used to be able to do that. We could talk about it. Absolutely. We could completely disagree about all different types of topics. At the end of the day, we'd still be friends.
You know what, Stephen? And that's not just with, going, in the big spectrum of, Roe versus Wade or homosexual versus heterosexual. There's things like, as a mom, vaccinate, don't vaccinate.
Right.
That whole
stay at home versus work, right? Yeah. Women always seem like
breast milk versus formula.
Exactly.
I'm like, we can't sit down as moms and just, this is what you believe, and that's okay, but this is what I believe. Don't hate me or don't think that I'm less of a person. When did we stop being simple? When was it okay to just, just kind of give somebody else the cold shoulder or whatever, just because they didn't believe the same way as you or they didn't think the same way as you?
Right.
And so I think, to each is his own. To each his own, but you're not going to convince me of what I believe.
Right.
You're just not. And I think, and that's just it, Stephen, like in this society, in this day and age, especially with this generation, I want to teach my kids to stand up for something, not just follow in the crowd, because I think that people 99% of the time are trusting that they'll just follow whatever I do.
Right.
No, I want to raise a group of leaders. That's what our country needs. It's because it's basically someone's going to listen to the loudest voice. Right. But I want them to do it with integrity and decency and in love and, and those kinds of things, not, rude and evil and ugly. Nobody ever gets their way with that. And then when they do, you've lost so much character.
Right.
I think that people, I pray that eventually that we, as a society, we will get back to that. I don't know if we ever will, but I pray that we try to make links to protect our rights as citizens, what we believe and what we want as a Christian nation, regardless of what the law says, whatever happens, I just, I believe in, my civil liberty should never be taken away. I don't want anybody to tell me what I can and cannot do. Period.
Absolutely. Right.
Period. End of conversation. And then at the same way, I'm not going to tell you, what you cannot or cannot do. But I think Jesus was the same way. I believe he just led by example.
Right.
He led by example, and people were drawn to that, and that's how his conversions happened. Don't get me wrong. He stood for something.
Right.
Right versus wrong.
Right.
I think that we live in the gray a lot. I don't like that. It's either black or white with me. I don't, because that's confusing. It's confusing. So I think that I want to teach my kids and my students, stand up for something, but do it with character. Do it with integrity. Do it with decency. You don't ever get anywhere being ugly. Again, stuff we learned in kindergarten.
Right.
It's not rocket science. It's just about being a person, because regardless of what kind of race, gender, we're all part of the human race.
Yes.
Let's treat ourselves as human beings. We don't have to be jerks, but a lot of us are. So it is what it is.
Do you ever get to sing anymore?
I'm really involved in my church.
Yes.
I am considered a worship leader at my church, and so yes, on Sundays, I do get to sing on stage to lead a congregation and to worship. Greatest time. That is my safest place, is to, not because I'm on stage, but just because I'm in the presence of something greater than myself, and I'm giving worship back to him. I'm giving the gift back to what he gave me.
Yes.
He gave the gift, so then I give it back in that kind of atmosphere, and I love it.
They always say that singing is praying twice.
I love that.
I find that is the hardest thing to do, because there's always this constant battle between the song as a pure gift and a prayer to God, and then the performance aspect of it, right?
Stephen,
you know what I'm talking about? Very difficult.
My gosh,
very difficult.
Oh, that's absolutely right. Because, as you know, being a part of any kind of group of musicians, you deal with egos. And
they were perfectionists, right? They wanted to be at a certain level. No, I want to be this certain way. You know what I'm talking about.
You said a mouthful.
How do you deal with that?
That is, well, it's because you have to remember that it's not about you. It is not about, you're there, not about you. It is not about you. It's, my prayer is always, let me decrease so that you may increase. Let me get out of the way so that you can, so that I can be in your way. It's not about ego. It's not about a performance for me. Now that was hard to distinguish when I was younger because I've been singing since I was little.
Right.
And so I always went for the accolades. I wanted the atta girl. I wanted the you did amazing. I wanted this and that.
And that's, we understand
and I think that
when you're younger, yes.
Yeah, well, even now. I
even
think
as older, yes.
You want that encouragement that you're doing a good job or whatever. Right. I think the distinction now as a grown woman now, a Christian woman, is that whose accolades do you want? Yes. Do you want accolades of the people, or do you just want to please your Heavenly Father? Yes. And that's my goal, is to make sure that I'm being pleasing to my Heavenly Father. No disrespect, I could care less what you think. Right. Because I'm not doing this for you. Right. I'm not doing this for you. I'm not here to put on a show for you. Right. As a worship leader, our job, I don't even like the term worship leader. I like the term lead worshiper. Right. Because I want to engage you to be in the presence of God, not so much, look at me, and, listen to my voice and how great it is.
I mean, and obviously, yes, you're up on stage, and so you're visible. But it is still, prayer is this group prayer effort.
Yes, it is an effort, and it's just, but it also, because we are a part of our flesh nature. Yes, we want those carnal, those carnal things. Sure. It's just like Paul said, I renew my mind daily. Mm-hmm. So we're renewing my mind daily of, this is not about me, this is all about you, and it's, the Bible says in Matthew, blessed are the meek, they will inherit the earth. Blessed are the peacemakers. It's all of that. It's about, it's like opposite worlds, He will exalt the lowly. What you do in private, God will make public. Right. Don't, get on stage and say how great you are. No, just be faithful to what you're trying to do. And then, and you will succeed in that manner. But yeah, you're constantly having to deal with your flesh. You're constantly having to deal with your ego. You have to check that at the door, because at the end of the day, what your purpose is to give it back. Right. Not accept it for yourself. Right. And you know what? People can tell if you're being genuine or not.
Oh yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So
sometimes less obvious, but generally it is pretty obvious.
And that's been always a hard lesson to learn. And I'm really glad that at my ripe old age of 31 that I'm getting that. I'm getting that because it's again, it's not about me. It's not about me. I could care less. And that's kind of how I deal with jealousy too. You deal, because when you regard Christian or secular, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. No.
Jealousy is always going to be prevalent when somebody comes into the room that might be more talented than you. Because guess what? There's always going to be somebody more talented than you in the room. Yeah. I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying it goes both ways. Yeah. And
what's everything? It's not just jealousy. It's jealousy that maybe they're a challenge to your authority, whatever.
Exactly.
Or your position, or your status in the community.
Absolutely.
I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
Right? You're still human.
You know what my response to that is? Because I think it's just so funny is that I've been me my whole life. I'm not impressed.
That's right.
I'm not impressed with me. It's me. It's me. I know me.
That's right.
You don't need to be impressed either. It's okay.
That's right.
And again, being that encourager, always, being that encouragement to them, I think puts people at ease just to let them, because maybe, especially with like when I'm on team at my church and I'm singing with somebody who's never worked with me before, but maybe they've seen me from their seat. Maybe they have a preconceived notion of, I hate the word diva. Hate that word, but it's going to follow you wherever you are because you're a female and you're a singer. It's kind of thrown out there as a stereotype. Right. Well, do they feel that way? How can I break that immediately? Like, what can I do? And it's always just being helpful, Stephen, I think you can never go wrong with being a servant. If you ever servant, or if you have a servant's heart, I think people will just genuinely just respond to that because. Jesus was a servant, he, and that's what I want to share.
Without being a doormat, which is kind of an interesting.
Exactly. And to put those practices into place, I think helps kind of subside jealousy, envy, all of that kind of thing. Because you don't want that for someone else. You want to encourage them in their gifts and what they're good at. And don't look at me, look to him. And, don't look to the gift, look to the giver of the gift. Right. So that's always been my philosophy. But when you're dealing with musicians and egos, and Christian or not,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, listen, that especially comes up in large casts. You've got all these different personalities, and yes, they're all gifts from God, but sometimes those gifts have a hard time getting along.
It's true. It's true. I don't know what other theater companies do because I'm not a part of that. I am a part of CYT because of their the Christian Judeo ethics that we are a part of. I think it's a great life lesson when those situations come up, that we can then address those issues so that, you know what to do from here on out, as far as, not getting along, ego, whatever, you always go back. That's why I love that before every practice, before every rehearsal on the weekends, we do Bible study, we do praise and worship. And that, Stephen, does unify us as a body. We might not agree. I mean, don't get us wrong. There's cat fights.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's cat fights. There's people, it's going to happen. But, when you're emphasizing group versus individual, I think that's what really helps. Because I've always told my students and my cast, the leads couldn't be leads without the group.
That's right. They're
just people without the background, without the chorus, without you. We all make up the show, like how there's no I in team kind of thing. Right. It's the same kind of thing. Without a chorus, well, the leads don't have their chance to shine. Right. But vice versa too. Without leads, the chorus wouldn't be needed. It's just,
the parts of the body.
Exactly.
Right.
We all function. Yes. We all have our place. We all have our part. Yes. I don't care if you're the tree number 4 or if you're, the main lead. We are all a part of this together. It's not one over someone else. Right. And that's what I love about CYT is that I feel that our directors do a very good job, not just honing over the lead. I will spend just as much time with a background, a cast, a chorus person than I will a lead. I'm not going to just, well, you need more work because you have more client. Well, I want to make sure, because you know what? That tree number 4, Stephen, eventually wants to be the lead.
Sure.
And so I want to give them as much opportunity to work in that gift, thrive in that gift, hone that gift in that craft, so that maybe eventually that they at least have a shot at it. I'm not saying they'll get it, but to have a shot. And how are they going to have a shot if you don't invest, if you don't give your time, if you're not giving if you're not giving a part of them, a part of yourself to them. Absolutely. They're not going to learn from your expertise if you're just shining on the star of the show. Right. Give me tree number 4 every time. Seriously. Give me tree number 4 every time. I mean, there's something to say about, those kids that only feel that they need to be in the background. Right. That's not the case. You didn't get tree number 4 because that's all you can do. Right. That's where you're needed right now. Right. That's not to say in the next show, the next director doesn't come along and say, you're a star. And and have that opportunity to thrive in that manner. Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's talk about dance, because music and dance to go a little bit. Do you have any dance training?
I don't talk about it much because I don't consider myself a dancer. But in high school I was, I did drill team and loved jazz and and then as I got older in college, I love hip hop. I love hip hop music. So I would take these fitness classes that were hip hop. So love it. Love it. So, because it's really funny that, we're always, I think we're always lacking in choreographers. Yes. In my organization, and I'm tempted to be like, nobody knows this. I'm just like, I'm tempted to try it. Say, try, what if I could maybe, I don't, I kind of like the idea of just staying in your own swim lane. I'm the music person. Just give me the music. Yeah. But would like to,
But especially in musicals, dance, choreography, you go to music, very important. Hand in hand. I mean, you can't just stand up on the stage and sing.
I wish you could.
Yeah, you could, but it'd be pretty boring.
It would. I wish you could.
Dance is very important part. No, we're always short of that to choreographers as well, but it's an important component. And you've probably seen it too in CYT. There's the troika in musicals: the director, the music director, and the choreographer. And if they're not getting along, that's not a good thing.
Not working out. I've been so fortunate though, Stephen, in the several shows that I've done since 2007. I've never had that problem. We've just, now we might disagree. Right. But you also, I've always been a good, I like to set the example, you serve your director, and whatever your director says goes. So even you might differ from your opinion from your director, but they're the director. That's their job. They get the final say. Right. So, and then once the decision has been made, to support it, support it all the way. But I have been fortunate where the 3 of us are always like-minded, or like I said, at the end of the day, maybe we don't agree, but we support. Right. And that's what's important. Right. And that's what's important. So thankfully, I've never had that problem. I still have a long way to go, but hopefully from here on out, no more shows from that either.
Well, usually usually the director gets to pick, or they know who they can work with. So it's kind of a process of self-selection,
it's true.
Right?
It's absolutely true, yeah.
I know I can work with this choreographer. I know I can work with this musical director.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely true.
You usually like all kinds of music.
I do.
You still like all kinds of music?
Absolutely. Yeah? Yeah. Even, because you know what I'm fond of, Stephen? I'm fond of melodies. Melodies are found in all types of music. Right. So, I mean, my husband, now he came from like a more, because he was in rock bands as an earlier.
We all do that as when we were kids.
Right. So, the harder stuff, you know, like what would be considered rock music.
Right.
I enjoy that as well. I mean, because melodies, I love the music of it. I love, because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day that when I hear music, I see it in color. Wow. And I love like different chord progressions are different colors to me. And so anything that just sparks my ear, I then am like stimulated to like listen. And it could be under, a Linkin Park, drum set or, a Breaking Benjamin guitar. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm just loving or falling in love with the melody. Anything with the melody, I'm just like, wow, that's great. That's
have
really
you done
great music.
Composition?
Yes, I have. I've written lots of music. They're pretty much for myself. I've never really, but yeah, absolutely. Just it's like poetry. Yeah, it's music, and it's therapeutic. You just write yourself
absolutely.
out.
Well, we have a lot of friends that like to write, not necessarily compositions, but it is therapeutic.
Absolutely, yeah, it's good. I find it when people are creative in like music that they have that ability. I don't know if they always like to do that. Sure. I think that it's necessary though, just to kind of, even if it sucks, just put it down. Just write it. Even if you think, just write it down, put it down. Just like it's another avenue of your creativity. Yeah, absolutely. No,
the important question of the day. Yes, if heaven exists, what do you want God to say when you get to the pearly gates?
That's a great question. So, but just to change the verbiage, heaven does exist. Yeah. And when I do get there, I want him to say, welcome home. Welcome home. I can't wait.
Yeah, we said, someone just said, yeah, no, there's a spot over there. We need a soprano.
Join the chorus.
Yeah, we're a little short on singers today.
Hey, Mandy, can you help with this? Absolutely. I can't wait for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we're just doing this show, and we just need a musical director.
Love it. Yeah. Heaven exists, and when I get there, I want him to say, welcome home. Welcome home.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
It's good.